Hello, my darklings. It's me, Cherry. Thanks for coming back again. Today we are going to be doing my first edition of What Am I Listening To? Um, I am an avid musophile and I listen to a lot of different stuff. A lot of it is new, and I really enjoy sharing the different and interesting bands that I find. So I think these are going to be approximately monthly. This particular edition is going to be kind of like the first half of 2019. I think there's one band in there that released at the end of 2018. But basically, what I'm going to do, I'm going to split it up into three different categories. I like threes, apparently. And I'm going to highlight some music that I've really enjoyed, some of which are guitar-based, some of which are synth-based, and then I've got my ever-loving catch-all other category. So sometimes this might be hip-hop, sometimes this might be... I listen to a lot of weird stuff, so it's pretty much going to be anything that doesn't fit that typical goth umbrella. To kind of get this out of the way, to start from the beginning, I recommend any of the band's albums and songs that I feature here. I'm going to be posting, along with this video, a Spotify playlist that includes each of my standout or spotlight songs from each of the releases. So as I talk about the different bands, I'll talk about the name of the band, the name of the album, and my personal track pick from each of those releases. Each of those tracks will be featured on the Spotify playlist, so please click the link below in the description. Check it out. I hope you really enjoy it. So let's get started. First up is the guitar-based bands. First up is the band Whispering Suns with their release called Image, and my standout track is Alone. Deep female vocals over a classic post-punk guitar with a slight synth backing and pounding drums really make this uniquely dark Belgian band one I recommend you check out. Next up is Second Still with their release Violet Phase, and my personal standout track is Double Negative. This three-piece LA-based post-punk / cold wave band brings us their second full-length album with what I consider the same likability as their debut. With catchy vocals, solid bass backing, and intertwining synths and guitar, it really makes this album a tight and enjoyable listen. Next up is the Parisian band Je T'aime with their self-titled album Je T'aime, and the standout track to me was Dance. These Paris natives delivered their self-titled debut back in May with vocals that are very evocative of Robert Smith from The Cure. It featured capable guitars and inflammatory lyrics, and altogether, I felt like the album was a fun, folly-filled trip. Rosetta Stone recently released a new album titled Seems Like Forever. My favorite from this album was When You Turn Away. This is a solid, long-time comeback from a classic group. The album is very morally and politically driven, and definitely not shy in addressing difficult topics such as mental health. Overall, I felt it was a strong album with great listen-through ability. Next up is Delphine Coma with their new release, Leaving the Scene. My personal standout from this album was Beautiful Disaster. This native Texan duo offered us a discordant but stunning sound when they released last year's Leaving the Scene. It's not a new release, but it is new to me, which is why I'm featuring it. And it's a rich and satisfying listen from the post-punk / cold wave realm. Next up is the self-titled release from the new band Bizou. My personal favorite from this EP was the song Like Rain. With funky backbeats, solid guitar riffs, and bass backing, the vocalist provides the perfect overlay. This band is actually comprised of members from the Smashing Pumpkins, Veruca Salt, Tennis System, Wax Idols, Jenny V, and Light FM. I enjoyed the entire EP, even though it was only 4 tracks, and I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on this new band. Next up is another self-titled release. This one's a full-length album from the band Rammstein. And my personal favorite from this release was the track Deutschland. It was their first single, but still, after listening through, my favorite of the group. This is a fantastic rock album from these long-absent German legends, and their ability to mesh rock riffs with stand-up synth backing never fails to impress me every time. I'm really glad they're back, and I'm really hoping for a US tour because they always put on an incredible live show, and I think they're still one of my top 5 live concerts of all time. Last but definitely not least on the guitar-based list is the new band Long Night with their album Barren Land. And my personal favorite off of this album was really difficult to decide, but I really like the track Black River. My chosen track has more of a tribal feel, but it does showcase the band's unique guitar use on their first full-length album. The album is perfect for goth rock lovers, and the band actually features former members from such bands as the Morendos, Elusive, Despo, Theater of Tragedy, and Tristania. Moving on to the synth-based side of things, the first on my list is a band called Agent Sidegrinder with their new release, X. My personal favorite from this album is the track Stripped Down, and self-defined as an electronic post-punk industrial monster from Stockholm, Sweden. Their latest album showcases a new singer and a more danceable sound. With a strong reputation for fantastic live shows, though I haven't had a chance to see them live, I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on these 3. They aren't a new band, the singer is new, but I just discovered them, and I really, really enjoy their sound. Next up on the synth side is the band SITD, also known as Shadows in the Dark, with their new release Stunde X. And my personal favorite from the album was the track Sturmlicht. And German industrial natives SITD illustrate their signature sound, danceability, and smooth vocal styling on this, their eighth full-length studio album. It is full of dance floor fodder. It's a solid upbeat offering from these EBM veterans. Next up is the band Automelodi with their new release, Mirages au futur verre-brisé. And my personal favorite track is La Poussière. This Quebecois duo paints a sumptuous synth landscape on their 3rd full-length album, and the songs sort of beckon us into a deep avant-garde world where somehow we can all magically understand French. It's a relatively down-tempo, but definitely cohesive release, and a great listen start to finish. This is also a new band to me, so I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on them. Next up is the band Trust with his new release, The Destroyer Part 1. My personal favorite from this release is the track Unbleached. For those of you who might not know, this project from Robert Alphonse has been compared to the likes of Depeche Mode and Joy Division. Alphonse's unique vocals and dynamic stage presence really make Trust a band I personally recommend you see live, if at all possible. They have a very distinct sound, and a lot of it is danceable, so I really like that as well. Next up is the band Priest with their new Obey EP. My personal favorite track off of this is Ceremony. Priest consists of former members from the Swedish rock band Ghost, also known as Ghost BC. And this lush electronic group really seemed to have been set up for success from the start. This first EP, following their debut full-length album, offers some great dance tracks, but also some more introspective releases as well. So it's short but sweet. Next up is the release from legendary Curse Mackey, titled Instant Exorcism, and my personal favorite track off of this is Somewhat Possessed. This is a new full-length release from the singer of the classic industrial group Pigface. It retains an old-school sound, using its solid industrial roots, but adds new riffs and sort of a dance backdrop. And it's a fantastic listen. I really enjoy the dance tracks, and it's definitely one to check out. Next up is the band Synth-Based, and their new release is That All There Is. My personal favorite from this is the track Velvet Lips. This unique Washington, D.C. duo feeds us dark synthscapes unlike anything I've ever heard before. With some solid dance beats and some down-tempo melodies, they have a unique sound that I highly recommend. Last but not least, on the synth side of things is the Black Queen with their new release, Infinite Games. My personal favorite track from this release is No Accusations. Lush, down-tempo soundscapes from this trio never disappoint. And there's always a clear harkening back to an industrial and almost an 80s pop feel, with modern twists thrown in. Greg Puciato's velvet vocals really add a supple overlay for what is, in my opinion, the perfect slow jam soundtrack. Very last but not least is my other category. This month I only have one artist, and she's relatively well known. Her name is Billie Eilish, and she recently dropped When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? My personal highlight from this album is the track My Strange Addiction. And this album highlights strong hip-hop backbeats against Eilish's angelic vocals. And its darkly inclined concepts, unrequited love, and villainy themes take center stage on this prodigy's debut full-length album. It's not what a lot of the world would group in with the goth subculture, but I listened through it and really enjoyed it and recommend it. So that is it for my first edition of What Am I Listening To? I hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely make sure to check out the description below. I've got the link to my Spotify playlist, and I've also got links to all of the different albums that I mentioned in the video, so you can go check them out on your own as well if you are not a Spotify user. So thanks so much for watching. Please comment, ask me any questions you might have about any of the releases, or if you want some recommendations, I am happy to give them. Hit the thumbs up / like button if you liked it. Subscribe. Don't forget to tap the bell, and stay lovely. I'll see you next time.